So hello everybody and welcome to Flamingle. So today I've come to Esher in Surrey to chat with Ben Ivey, the fulfillment artist. So I first learnt about Ben's work through my friend Fiona Grieve, who's actually been on Flamingle before to talk about her volunteer work with refugees. But before Fiona told me about what you do, I'd never heard of the term a fulfillment artist. So what does it mean?
Sure, great question. So as a fulfillment artist, basically the aim is to help people paint the picture for their life and make it a reality.
Okay.
And there's a lot of people that are coaches or they do different things. But for me, I found that a lot of people, as coaches as such, try to fit everyone into a box. And I think it's nicer to help paint the picture for people, because fulfillment for you is different from what's fulfillment for me.
Yeah, what I was wondering. So I read that you learnt a lot from the life coach Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
So you're actually qualified in his Tony Robbins strategic intervention coach, is that right?
Yeah.
So you're qualified in that. So you did just start to briefly elaborate, but what do you think the main differences are between a life coach and maybe a motivational speaker and what you do? Like you said, you like to paint the picture of their lives, but how does that differ from what they do?
Sure, that's a great question. So one of the things that happens is a life coach, right? So a life coach should know a lot about life, right? It's a life coach.
Yeah.
But I've found that there's a lot of young people that consider themselves life coaches. And you know, if you're 25, if you're 30 and you're being a life coach for a 60-year-old, I think you don't have that experience. So that was one of the things that I wanted to avoid. As a motivational speaker, I think that motivation goes up and down. You can give someone motivation, but often that dwindles. So I ultimately wanted to help people be more fulfilled in the quickest time possible. And then I came up with the term fulfillment artist, and now I train other people in that as well.
So you have a training scheme and a whole brand behind it, and you just go out and do it. And like you say, you're young yourself, so it'd be like silly to give advice to a 6-year-old person with so much more experience than you. So teaching them that way of doing it, I think, I definitely agree. So what do you think are your top tips for being fulfilled?
Sure. So I think that the cornerstone for fulfillment is gratitude. And what I mean by this is it's very easy for us, because the mind is built for survival, to always look for things that are wrong.
Yeah.
So we're very quick to judge ourselves, to see things that aren't correct, and we get ourselves very stressed. And a lot of people are living in scarcity. So one of the best ways to overcome that is to think of things that you're grateful for each day. And if you do that on a consistent basis, it starts to recondition your mind so that you start to think in a more of an abundance way as opposed to being scarce. So I think gratitude is really, really important.
Yeah, so you said, I was watching one of your videos, you said to wake up and list 5 things that you're grateful for every day. And I guess that automatically puts your mind in a positive mindset because you're already happy. So it's just about maybe doing little things like that, and then it's going to create a more positive picture.
Well, it's just building momentum. I mean, just like when you go to the gym, if you work out once, it may not make a big difference.
Yeah.
But if you start to do it on a consistent basis, it becomes easier, it turns into a habit, and then it starts to become automatic.
Wow. So you go to big conferences and you teach these techniques to business people mainly, don't you?
Yeah, so I work with business owners online, and then I have a lot of different people that come to my events. Some people are lost, some people are entrepreneurs just starting their businesses and they're not really sure like what to do or how to bring everything forward. Yeah. So I get a range, but mainly online it's business owners, and then people that are feeling a little lost and unfulfilled.
Wow. So I was wondering, the term fulfillment, as you did say earlier, is quite different for everybody. So how would you personally define the term fulfilled, and how do we know as individuals when perhaps we are fulfilled?
Sure, that's a wicked question. So what I find most fascinating is that no matter who we are as humans, there's always going to be a few factors which are common for everyone. And I think for me it's important to understand the paints to help people paint the reality, right? So there's a few core elements everyone has to have at some level to be fulfilled, right? So the first one is love, right? Love is a cornerstone to fulfillment, whether that's friends or family or ultimately with a loved one. That's where a lot of fulfillment's going to come from. So there was a study called the Grant Study, which was a study that started in 1938 and followed, it was 238 Harvard graduates and 444 other people from Boston for 75 years. They measured everything about their lives. Everything about their lives. And what they ended up finding out was, after $20 million and 75 years, they said the whole research could be summed up in 5 words. They said, happiness is love, full stop. Which is crazy. Yeah. And often in life nowadays we pursue success, but we very much forget about to be fulfilled and to have those connections with people around us. So love is the first thing that's really important. The next is to have a purpose, or to have a meaning for our lives. A lot of people nowadays, we're in a world where it's so much better than it has ever been, yet people are more depressed now than they've ever been, right? And it's very sad because there's so many opportunities, but because we have things so easy, and it's so easy for us to get by and we're so comfortable, a lot of people lack meaning and purpose for their lives. So having some sort of meaning or a purpose really helps you be fulfilled at some level. And then the other one is to be able to master your mind. And what I mean by this is we are always having conversations and asking questions in our heads constantly. And if you don't master that, then you're going to get in a lot of trouble, because ultimately you can go down downward spirals, which often leads to people being depressed or stressed, as opposed to being on an upward cycle where you're experiencing more positive emotions on a consistent basis.
Okay. So if you work all those, I think you listed about 4 things, and eventually that should lead to fulfillment, but in your own individual way, because everybody's so different.
Yeah, so I the other element that I often speak to people about when we talk about meaning and purpose is something called lifestyle design.
Okay.
And this is pretty fascinating. So when most people go into a career or they go into a job, what they'll do is they'll say, okay, I want to do this. Right? Let's say they want to be an accountant, or they want to, I don't know, build a business, or whatever it is. They start with the end of, I want to build a business, or I want to be an accountant. But they've never really thought of, how do I want to live each day? Like, what would a perfect week look like?
Oh, yeah.
Because a lot of people set up a business and then their business ends up being a burden. Or they end up going into accounting and then they work massive long hours. Or they do what they love, but it ends up not being what they really want.
Yeah.
So starting with the end in mind and understanding how you want to balance your life or live it, or what is a perfect week? Like, what do you do? How do you build everything forward? Helps us basically move forward in a much nicer way.
Yeah, so making each day count and in a positive manner then can lead to happiness and fulfillment in your lives, hopefully.
Yes, step by step.
So you work all over the world, but mainly you work in the UK, China and America. So I was wondering, as you have spoke about, you've just listed some of your strategies that you use with your clients, but between each of the cultures and continents, does those strategies change? Do you have to alter to different audiences? How do you...
Sure. So it's very different in the different places that I've been to. So when I first started, I thought it was going to be the same, and I remember doing like an amazing talk in China, and I was just faces.
Because I was reading, I was like, how does he do this? I don't know that many Chinese people, but surely the cultures must be completely different. So maybe you have to adapt.
Yeah. So I'll give you an example. So I'm doing a TEDx, like I said, in 11 days, right?
Yeah.
And I was planning on saying some common issues for men and women. So a common issue for women, right, is that they always want to change men, right? It's like a big one. And English people are like, we get it. Okay, yeah, I want to change my man. I get that. And then a common issue for men is that they don't understand women enough. They don't understand. Right, but in China, instead, I've got to say how women...
To be a bit careful.
but how women always want their man to be taller, like better looking and more perfect. And how the men always say to their women that they need to drink more hot water. And that's a very common thing. Literally, I was like, okay. So, you're not feeling well, drink more hot water. Like, got stressed, drink more hot water. That's like a common thing. So, there you have it. You have to
edit that into your talks.
Yeah, I have to change my talks to tailor to the audience. I just have to be aware of the body language. So another one, actually, and I was speaking about this the other day, is if you were to say 2, how would you count 2?
Oh, I'd count it like that.
Okay, so you count it like that, right?
They do it the other way around.
Yeah, so they may do it like this, but I often count 2 like this as well, right?
Yeah.
But this, in Chinese, is 8. Right? So I was saying 2 things, but obviously they would see 8. So it's just understanding body language as well. It's quite important.
Yes, and make sure you're clear in every way. But you're actually learning Chinese, or you've learned, you can speak Chinese as well.
Yeah, I can speak Chinese okay, I get by. So.
Wow! So you're obviously very successful in what you do your talks online, you go to conferences all over the world, but why did you want to become, you've created the term fulfillment artist, and how did you go about doing so and building up a worldwide clientele?
Oh, okay, do you have enough time?
I mean, if you can sum it up briefly.
Sure. So I ran a couple of businesses before. So I had an import and export business, and then I had a business diving into virtual reality in Silicon Valley. So then I had an experience which really changed my life full tilt. I ended up losing my father to suicide, and we were really close. He was my best friend, and I saw him the day before. And then I sort of dived into this question of, why do people do what they do? Why do we repeat the same patterns? And this took me on a journey of self-discovery, where I started to go to places all over the world, going to conferences, meeting people, and I dived into lots of different ways in which to help people to understand, what happened with my dad, but also like how is it that people are fulfilled in life, and why is it that people get so stressed? Like often we always think that when we get to the island or the grass is greener on the other side. We always have that feeling, and I wondered, why do we have these human patterns? And then I found experts, and obviously learned off them to be able to gain the skills to be able to help people who are feeling a little lost in life.
Wow, yeah, and then you can just build it up, and now you get to talk and spread your knowledge to people all around the world, and as you say, help them and hopefully give them some guidance in where they want to go and what they want to do.
I think that everyone faces challenges in business, and in the world we're in today, we're always going to have constant innovations and different things happening that makes it a constant challenge, right? Or a worthy opponent as such. So I think ultimately, for me, the most important thing has been understanding how to be authentic with everything that I'm doing and not to copy others too much, because I think that it's very easy for us to look at others and want to be like them and try and emulate them, which is great to some degree, and you want to model them, but you also want to know your own personality.
Yeah, and people like that, like if you're just you and you're up there in front of a group of people and talking, like they'll appreciate that.
Yeah, I think people really enjoy the idiosyncrasies that come with just being a human and being slightly ridiculous or just being your authentic self, and I think that allows people to connect with you.
Yeah, so you did mention briefly, often people in business do have challenges along the way, but for you as a fulfillment artist, to me that's something quite niche, but what are the challenges you may face?
Sure, so one of the challenges I have is trying to run multiple events in different countries, right? And like trying to do the marketing in China is a whole different ball game, because
a lot to learn.
Well, yeah, there's no Facebook, no Snapchat, no Instagram, because everything's blocked, and they have completely different ways of doing it. The price structure, how you reach people, how you interact with, it's just completely different. So one of the hardest challenges is getting other people to attend the event when I'm not running it, but someone else is. Under my brand of being a fulfillment artist, right? So that's a challenge. And then, ultimately, I think that because I fly every month or so, it's often difficult for me to build a very strong foundation in any country that I go to, because I'm always traveling. So I think it's a pro and a con.
Yeah, because you get to see so many places and meet so many people, however, you don't get to build that.
For me, I always look in a more optimistic light, and I think it's great that I get to be scarce in some degree, in that, I'm here and then I'm gone. So often people are more likely to attend because they know I'm not here for a long period of time. Yeah. Plus, it allows me to open myself up to different cultures, different people, and ultimately expand a very international network.
Definitely. Wow. Well, at least you can balance it all out, and you definitely believe what you preach anyway. I can see that from when I was watching your videos the other day. I was like, you're just so enthusiastic about what you're saying, and I think if you were on a stage, people would just be sucked into it. So thank you so much. But what are your hopes for Ben Ivey, the fulfillment artist, or even all your trainers as fulfillment artists?
Sure. Well, ultimately the end goal is to build a community that allows people to get a fulfillment artist. They can start working with them and helping them shift their lives very quickly, and ultimately running events in China in Chinese, as well as in the UK in different places, and ultimately expanding it so that I can impact more people, but through other fulfillment artists who've gone through training and understand how to really shift people.
Wow, yeah, so just grow it and make it as big as you can so you can reach as many people. Fantastic. So you're obviously an expert in fulfillment and you can define it and but you yourself as Ben Ivey, personal question maybe, but would you say you are fulfilled in what you do or your general life?
Yeah, I definitely say I'm fulfilled, and obviously I face challenges, as does everyone. Yeah. But often what I say to people is, just like a doctor can get ill, right? He knows how to fix himself, as I do with me, right? I understand I'm feeling out of balance. I know I need to shift something. Yeah. And I think I feel very fortunate to have the knowledge and the skills to be able to do that. But what's much more rewarding for me is seeing other people develop and overcome the human patterns of not being well, or getting depressed, or coming over thoughts of suicide, or whatever it is, and shifting them to a life of happiness and fulfillment.
Yeah, and again, it brings it back to what we were talking about at the beginning, having gratitude, and you're obviously thankful for the gift you'll be able to give people, so that just gives it full circle.
Yeah.
So you definitely believe what you preach. So thank you so much for sharing everything about fulfillment artistry with us today. I'm very grateful that you have, so thank you so much. I definitely think it's been very eye-opening, so I hope you have learnt as much as I have as well. And I hope it's okay with you, but I'm going to link all your social media and your website to this video. So if you want to find out more about Ben Ivey, the fulfillment artist, you can go and take a look. But thank you so much for watching.
Cool.